What?
That's not good.
These guys came from thousands of miles away, and to actually come into an area that they don't know anything about other than airsoft.
We came down to share the HPA love with South Africa. All right, hit the fun switch. No one's not.
5 seconds. See you later, man.
We had a really good time. Lots of people got to try the guns out. Tried out the MPW billet, the MPW9.
That's
Yeah, Nico ran the MPW9 this weekend.
It's the biggest event in South Africa that we've ever had. We've had 5 different continents in one tournament.
Yeah.
We got Lithuania, Australia, America, the UK, and then obviously Africa.
And it's a 3-day event, right?
Yeah, 3 days. It's not a 3-day continuous play, it's social, exhibition, trade show, kind of vibe.
It's fun seeing the young airsoft community kind of growing.
Just a quick announcement, the gear is going to be coming in soon.
HPA has never been a big part of our market yet.
Right.
So having the guys come out and actually experience what HPA is, and at the end of the day, it's probably, in my books, it's the best HPA system.
How many people did we have just turn around and go?
Yeah.
It was just hilarious. Like,
It's really revolutionary. Not only that, you can sneak up on groups of people. Like at AEG, you sneak up behind you and just whack, shoot one guy, the rest of them turn around. But with HBA, you can sneak up behind like 20 people, kill them all, and you're Gucci. So
thank you for hosting us. It's been great.
that's a great
Thanks
video.
for joining
It's
us.
been fun.
Yeah, you win.
What?
That's not good.
Is it to your liking, sir?
Do you have anything stronger?
I believe we can accommodate. Do you need compact or firepower?
Actually, I was hoping for a bit of both.
I believe I have just the thing.
Hit.
Johnny, Paul, get back to work. What is up, guys? It is a Thursday afternoon. It is live from the den. I am running on about 3 hours of sleep and more coffee than a human being should have. We have the guys from Airsoft Junkies on today. Gonna have some fun. If you have questions, you have stuff you want to talk about, go ahead and throw it up in the chat. Guys, I will let you introduce yourselves here. Let's make sure we got audio going.
Hey. I'm Brandon.
Sam.
Awesome. Thank you guys for getting on today. We're gonna fly by the seat of our pants like we usually do and just see what people want to talk about and hear from you guys about what you guys got going on, events you got going, all that good stuff. Got a few comments on here to start out. Actually, start out with, since I'm already half asleep, I'm going to make it even better and open up the beer of the day.
There you
It
go.
is Elysian Space Dust IPA. This is one of my favorites. It's a good one.
One of my
All right,
favorites.
got a few people saying hello.
What's up? What's up?
Rabbit says hi. Hi, Rabbit. Matt says, sup, studs? What's Wolverine Airsoft, or what's Wolverine got in store for us today? Well, what do you want to talk about? Throw up the comments and we'll do our best. And then he said he loves his PDR trigger unit. Saved a ton of hassle on installing the MOSFET. Yeah. Guillaume says, yo. How's it going, Guillaume? Haven't talked to you in a while. Juan says hi from Belgium. Matt says 3 hours is too much. Buck up, buttercup, caffeine, and rage. Yeah, that's about right. All righty. Hello from Croatia. I'm a PTW guy. Only HPA like is Wolverine. Thanks, Ivan. Jack says, can I supply the next beer of the day? Absolutely. We haven't done this in forever. Okay. So running agreement, send us a beer, preferably something local that you have, something that like I can't get locally. Send us something to try out for a beer of the day. We'll give you a shout out. Give us your hashtag or your call sign, whatever you got. And we'll give you a shout out and we'll drink it on the show. Rabbit says hi from Switzerland. All right. Rabbit says the new storm regulator is amazing. He must have gotten one of those pretty quick. Awesome. All right, guys. Sam, Brandon. Sorry, not Brandon. I'm sorry. What's your name? We've not actually
It is
met.
Brandon. You're right.
It is Brandon?
That's Sam.
This is me. Yeah, I'm Sam.
I'm sorry, guys. I told you I have not had enough sleep.
It's all good, man.
I'm really sorry. I'm bad enough with names as it is, but yes, Brandon, we have met. Sam, I don't think we have met.
We haven't. No, I'm the manager of Airsoft Junkies.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, why don't you give us a little rundown of what you guys at Airsoft Junkies are doing?
Oh man, so lately keeping up with all the builds that we've had, shipping out all the orders. We've been running through a lot of new product from you guys, which we've been testing pretty rigorously, of course. A lot of us have been running this. Got one right now.
Yeah, so I just joined the NTW train like about a month ago, and I'm loving it so far. Serious Viking 4, the event we just got back from.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, we had a couple of our guys down. A few of our guys down there at Serious Viking. They all said they had a good time. Glenn said it seemed like the event ran really smooth. Everybody seemed like they had a good time. Yeah, I'm thinking about well, never mind. I shouldn't even say that. I try to get to one or two events a year, sort of off the record. Not like anybody knowing I'm being there, just like show up and play, just to sort of, have some time to be in the game and not in the business. So I'm thinking about going to one of your upcoming events on the DL and just just play and have a good time. Try to get a few friends, go out and shoot some people. Let's see. You guys got a shipment of the you have one right there, the new Cat 5, right?
Bad boys right here. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Sweet. How you liking those so far?
What now?
I said, how you liking those so far?
We sold out of them actually at our event. They were the most popular
nice.
Regulator that we actually had there. Love them.
Nice. How do you like the new packaging? That's something we've been putting a ton of effort into.
Yeah, it's pretty great, man. It's very streamlined. It's very nice to open. Got everything laid out in front of you so that you know this is what you're adjusting with. This is your regulator. Clean, and it really catches your eye too. I think that's why it's sold out so quick.
Yeah, the packaging, it sells itself. The main box, so the customer sees, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things we've been. I guess I'm a pretty practical person when it comes right down to it. Like, I don't. I like spending money on the stuff with product because maybe customers don't always think about this, but as a company, you have to decide what you're going to spend money on, right? Like, you can spend money on. And to some extent, you have to make these trade-offs between like, hey, we can spend money on stuff that makes it a technically better product, or we can spend stuff that's on, aesthetic or, whatever else. And there's trade-offs, and different people care about different things. But so I think we've sort of maybe underplayed our packaging over the years and the importance that it had, in terms of like making a premium product. Like, it probably should have premium packaging at some point. Like, we're a mature enough company at this point that we probably should be, providing a level of packaging that matches what the product itself is.
Yeah, no doubt. It was actually getting the old MTWs in, and I'm like, man, these things are just kind of zip them and hold them in. Then when you guys started sending them with foam, I was like, yeah, this is a lot better. They deserve 100%.
Yeah,
but
packaging is expensive, guys. I don't know whether you guys have to deal with packaging there, but nice packaging is pretty expensive.
Talk to our shipping crew. Definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. Joshua says, hey guys, new to Airsoft, just bought an MTW 10-inch, love it so far, can't wait to get it on the field. Dude, starting out right. Okay, so tell me what you guys see. Hey, I don't know, how long have you guys been sort of in the airsoft industry?
So I've only been working with Junkies since last November.
Okay.
So I'm going on almost a year. Playing wise, I've been playing for probably 18 years. I started out when I was 10 years old. Yeah.
So you've been around the industry at least for a long time. How about you, Sam?
So I actually took over as manager, joined the company back in February, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But being in there about maybe almost 7 to 9 months. Playing airsoft since old. So coming from humble beginnings, backyard airsoft, Springer pistols, to now like HPA guns, like Wolverine products. Like it is such a difference. It's night and day. I love it to death.
So it seems to me there's been over the past few years, there's more people, like back in the day, like kind of like you're saying, when I started playing, goodness knows how many years ago, a lot of years ago, I started playing airsoft. Nobody came into airsoft and spent a whole bunch of money on the guns right off the bat, right? No. Everybody got something, cheap, and just kind of worked their way up the scale. And there's still a lot of people that do that, but it seems to me over the past few years, we've been hearing more and more people that are just like, hey, this is what I do. I know I want to do it. And they're willing to buy like an MTW right off the bat. And that's the first thing they get. So it's kind of an interesting sort of shift in where I'm not sure why that is exactly. Like why maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's just enough information out there at this point that people feel more comfortable with it.
We see a lot of we see us with YouTubers, different YouTubers, some we've never even heard of. You know, it's in their YouTube feed every once in a while. And, you know, they see the performance of some of these. I want something that's going to work like that. So, you know, they'll come to us, they'll give us, hey, I see this guy, and, you know, we'll point him in the right direction and stuff. But,
so maybe it's also the friends asking, oh, you know, I've been playing Airsoft maybe like 2 or 3 years, you know, but I've got this really awesome HPA gun, or, you know, and the friend's like, oh, I want to join my friend in this hobby, so I'm going to go ahead and get what he has.
Right. So maybe more visibility. Part of it is just more visibility of like what the actual differences are, just because of like YouTube and social media and all that kind of stuff. Because like, you know, back in the day, you went to an airsoft store. You know, I mean, there was the internet, but, you know, forums were sketchy as heck, and you didn't, you know, you couldn't really see the difference. And you see the, you know, the $100 gun, and you see the $500 gun, and you're like, okay, I don't get what the difference is. Like, they both shoot BBs, whereas now there's like all these YouTube channels and all this information that's like actually telling, okay, this is what the actual differences are. Maybe that's part of what the difference is. Yeah. Casper says, I think we should talk about those 2 crates in the video. What's in them? Can it be the Wolverine Speedsoft pistol? So do you guys know where what crates he's referencing?
Yeah, we see him on the website.
So when we did the Forge Tactical video, I wanted to throw in so I didn't think people would pay that much attention, so we did these like sort of DLC content crates. I wanted to throw in actual silhouettes of guns, some of which we actually plan to do, and some of which we have no intention of doing, just to like throw everybody for a loop. You know, like, but I got kind of overruled on that and told that that was a terrible idea. So, you know. We have those DLC content. You never know. Maybe it's the Wolverine Speedsoft pistol. What is the Wolverine Speedsoft pistol, by the way? Glenn says hi from next door. Glenn's over there working on some R&D stuff. Speaking of which, how about Mexican salt and lime lager from California? I will try it, Jack. Send it my way, and I will give it a try. I'm not typically a lager guy, though I don't mind a lager from time to time. So let's see. Oh, let's see. Some people made some comments about the audio. Is the audio coming up? Audio doing better now, guys? Let's see. Hello from Iowa Airsoft Militia. Iowa Airsoft Militia, tell me who you are. I have not heard of you. When will the Storm Cat 5 be available in the UK? I am fairly confident we have already shipped them to the UK. Not positive, guys, but fairly confident we have already shipped them to the UK. So if they're not there yet, they should be pretty soon. Now, whether they ordered enough to keep up with demand, and they might sell out pretty quick. Sometimes new products are hard to find, even if we actually ship them. So, but I'm fairly confident there's a shipment already on its way to the UK. Will said, played AMS Copperhead 7 over Labor Day weekend. Tons of dust in the southern New Mexico. What's a good post-event cleaning routine? Yeah, you guys can pitch in on this if you have thoughts. Generally, to me, it depends on sort of what happened. As long as you know, you pretty much kept your airline on the gun and all that kind of stuff, the internals of the system are sealed. Like, you know, you can get stuff in there from time to time, but it's generally introduced when the airline is disconnected or contamination from a bad air fill. That happens more often than you might think. And stuff can kind of get up in there and gunk up the system. or just, really, really fine particulates from the movement of the metals. At a microscopic level, it generates very, very fine dust that can build up in there. But dusty conditions generally, in my experience, have more impact on your magazines and your barrel and hop up than like the internals of the engine itself with one of our systems. So I would generally just give it a good cleaning on the barrel. Check your magazines, make sure they're not full of dust and crud, because that can happen pretty quick. The engine itself, as long as it's running fine, you're probably in good shape. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, when I had my first MTW, I ran it until it actually failed, and I think it even failed on me. So it was, pretty easy whenever it needed to, but like, you really don't have to clean them that often. I mean, it's like you said, it's sealed up in the airline, and you're not really picking up crap. You're good to go. I mean, it's so.
Yeah. So one of the night,
pretty much.
You have a lot less possibility for introducing dust than even like an AEG, where on an AEG you have lots of openings that dust and sand can work its way into the gearbox and cause all sorts of problems. It's a fully sealed system. You got to work pretty hard to get stuff in there, other than like getting it straight up the airline when it's disconnected. And it's a good time to mention all of our systems for like the past 3 or 4 months at least come with an integrated filter in the line already. So that won't keep really fine dust out, but as far as like getting bigger stuff that might cause an immediate failure, it keeps most of that stuff out of the system. So that's already integrated into the airline so that you don't have to worry about it as much. Let's see.
Since it's on low battery, so I was going to go a charger.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'll be here for a minute.
Yeah. Dion said he's ready for his new storm rig to come in. We're building away on him. Anthony is working on some screws next door in the machine shop and said the screws are killing him. We've got a bunch of them to do, so, hop to it. Let's see. Dion replying to Will Hamilton, if it's the Reaper M, throw it in the pool. I guess that's one way you could clean it. That's not recommended, guys. I don't know what I'd have to think about all the metallurgical considerations, but chlorine is not generally great for or salt, if it's a saltwater pool, it's not generally great.
Oh my God.
So, Kenobi Airsoft says mine's arriving tomorrow in the UK. Maybe Cat 5? That's what he's talking about. Paul said Super 5s has Cat 5. Will you be bringing a Bluetooth FCU back? I have a premium with Gen 2 Inferno. I don't know. We were forced to discontinue the Bluetooth FCU because Bluetooth very helpfully stopped supporting the chip that we were using. So that's super nice of them. And they don't even, every time you register, every time you want to make a Bluetooth, an item that has uses Bluetooth, there's a very not inexpensive fee to register that device. And one would think if they stop supporting the chip that you're using in your device, maybe they would give you a free swap to using one of the chips that they do still support. But they won't even do that. So we'd have to start over from scratch in terms of paying all the fees to get a new device. We'd have to design a new device, pay to get it registered and all that kind of garbage. So I'm not sure. It is really stupid is what it is. But they just out of the blue said, we're not supporting that chip anymore. Thanks, guys. That's awesome. So I don't know if we're bringing it back at any point. We have talked about it, but it has not been a priority. It was one of those products that was always kind of a niche seller. Some people really liked it, but for a lot of people, it's just kind of it's more of a gimmick than a functional improvement, if that makes sense. Like, it's cool that you can connect your gun through your phone, but it doesn't really, I mean, in our case, it'll let you do a few extra things that you couldn't, but it's not that much added functionality, and it's a lot of added complexity, which is sort of not our MO. So we'll see.
Yeah.
You guys Bluetooth guys or anti-Bluetooth guys?
Oh, Lord. I hate the Gorilla FCUs, man. I'm not a huge fan of them, mainly because complexity was the big word. It's like I have so many guys that get their stock MTW and they want to, and guess what? It shoots awful right out of the box. They're like, I wonder why. Well, for semi-auto and then 3 separate settings for full auto, so you have to tune them independently. And doing it can be really beneficial to your efficiency if you know what you're doing. Don't even bother. It's way too complicated, and it even has problems connecting. It'll connect from your phone. You got to unplug the battery, plug it back, and then reconnect. It's kind of a hassle. Really worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's cool in theory, but it's difficult to make the user experience really good. And like, one of my beefs with that is there's all sorts of stuff that we do with our electronics in the algorithms that we use that you guys don't even know about.
Yeah.
Like that we don't even explain all the stuff that goes into the algorithms that makes the gun just work correctly when you pull the trigger. Like, that is not obvious. And so when you go to something like an FCU, like the Gorilla FCU, like Brandon said, you have to discreetly control every single thing about how it operates. Well, now there's just all sorts of opportunity for stuff not to work right. Whereas we give you an FCU with an algorithm built in that has all those little fine details already optimized for you. So it just works. You pull the trigger, it goes boom, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man, that's what we like about
it's just, it is the Bluetooth is not a priority. I think it would be fun at some point, but I have some pretty high standards as far as what we would want to accomplish if we were going to bother with it. Let's see. Matt says, do we have any real still products in the hopper? Nothing major right now. We still have the Mark 1 rails that we are getting ready to, as soon as we can get some excess capacity, we're going to sell a real still version of that. But other than that, not a whole lot. Our machine shop is working overtime right now as it is. Dion asks whether Anthony is working on his reg. He says we can put it in the box with a note that says some assembly required. Yeah, we try to avoid that, but yeah. Cat 5. I want to jump back to Cat 5 real quick because we need to do some more sort of videos explaining to people why the Cat 5 is what it is. There's been some fairly entertaining comments on some different forums and stuff claiming that we ripped off different people's designs because one particular component looks similar to another regulator. So one thing you have to realize is regulators taken in the broad scale, not just airsoft regulators, but regulators as a whole, are essentially a commodity item. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of different regulator designs. And if you actually break the internals down, they all pretty much work the same way, because what an air regulator is doing is it's a valve that opens and closes and lets air through or doesn't let air through to regulate the pressure. That's what it does. And there's only so many ways you can do that at the end of the day. So, the fact that we saw somebody comment that I forget who we were ripping off in this case. We were ripping off somebody because we used bevel spring stack. It's like, okay, yeah, those have been around and used in regulators forever. We used them in this case because it happened to work correctly for the rest of the geometry of the regulator. But making a really good airsoft regulator has to do with matching a lot of stuff that's really complicated and sort of very, very precise details of how parts are made and tolerances that are held and stuff like that. But it has to do with matching the sort of dynamic parameters of the regulator to the actual dynamic parameters that you're using. So in other words, you could have a regulator that works really well in one application and works really poorly in another application, right? Not because one is good or bad, but because the demands of the two applicate. One needs to flow a huge volume of air, but the response time isn't really that critical. One doesn't need to flow that much air, but the response time is super critical. So, you know, the Cat 5 regulator really had to do with us applying everything that we've learned over the past like 8 years of making regulators and saying, okay, how can we just like turn this up to 11 and squeeze the last bit of performance out of this system? Things like going to a slightly larger piston size, which is incidentally is why we ended up with the different spring stack, because with a larger piston size, you need stiffer springs. And that's how it works out. And then a larger piston size, a lot of details about the geometry and tolerancing of some of the internal components. And then from a technical standpoint, the biggest difference actually, which I don't know whether hardly anybody has noticed, is that our existing, all of our storm regulators to date have been a moving reg seat design. So when you make the adjustment, what you're moving is actually the reg seat where the piston seals on the regulator. With the Cat 5 design, it's a moving spring-based design or a moving base design. Basically, the reg seat stays in the same position, and what you're moving is the base that the springs sit on that adjusts the amount of spring tension that pushes against the piston. So, and both designs are, again, you can find hundreds of examples of both. Those are the two basic designs for adjusting regulators that you have. Why we chose one versus the other is kind of a discussion beyond the scope of this forum that gets into a lot of complex details. But anyway, so Cat 5s are out there, and we're super happy with them right now.
Oh, yeah.
Paying a lot of attention to them. You know, going to be continuing to optimize the sort of assembly processes and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure everything's running super smooth, like we do with any new project. But getting all the things about the Cat 5 to work. Is this something that you just try out with multiple prototypes, or is the process completely designed with software? It is a mixture of both. It is a mixture of things that can be discretely analyzed and measured, and you can say, hey, this change is going to have this impact, and that's a good thing. And a bunch of stuff that you really don't know. You can get it close, but then you just have to try and try and try and try. You would not believe the number of hours of experimenting and gathering data and testing and changing and reprototyping that went into making this regulator. Glenn might have, borderline had a mental breakdown at some point. All right, let's see. So what you guys, next event you got coming up?
Let's see. So we're actually going to be going to Folded Gap in 7th through the 8th. So we'll be out there with, I believe that's a line clause event.
No, Folded Gap is its own thing. So
okay. Yes, sir.
So we'll vent at Folded Gap. We plan. Check our booth out. We'll have most of our inventory out there. Events after Folded TCA event is Iron Dagger and 24-hour mill sim. A lot of the variables. I know the TCA staff, Sal's done a wonderful job of already pre-planning a couple of hidden twists and turns with the event. So that's going to be the big one that we got coming up.
Nice. And that's down at GTI?
Yep, GTI.
Oh yeah, it's one of our favorite
it's
spots.
it's a super cool AO. You think they're ever going to open back up Shelby?
Whew, I mean, I wish. We've been trying to get that a couple of years, at least TCA has.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
I wish they would. That's still my favorite AO. I wish they'd open that back up. It worked so well for Airsoft. Like there are a lot of AOs that are really cool, but like some things about it just don't work well for Airsoft. But Shelby was it was both super cool and it just worked for playing Airsoft. Like it was sufficient cover that you could move and you could actually like take buildings and do, there were sufficient ways in and out of the AO that you could, even if you got completely run off the field, you could sneak around and you could find a way in and, get a foothold again and fight your way back in. I miss Shelby. It's been a few years. I played a few times down there.
Never been to Shelby. Actually, wish it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's I think it's probably my favorite AO that I've played. It's well thought out. It's big enough without being absolutely massive and just like almost no complaints about it. Let's see. Casper was asking whether can you fit the new gen trigger board into the OG MTW? Yes.
Yeah.
There are a couple.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So all I noticed is if you have still in there, it's not painted, so it's not gonna notice the optical sensor. So if you or something on there to be like really, it's got to be bright though. Like it's got to be white.
Yeah.
Or it's not the right spot, and that'll work.
Yeah. You do have to get the get your white indicator for your optical sensor. When we ship replacement boards, we do include these little stickers. They work okay. Like they do work. I'm gonna be honest, like I've not seen one come loose as long as you like clean the surface before you apply it. But I don't love it as a solution. It's just kind of the best that we could do in terms of giving people a solution. We haven't had any like complaints or problem. We haven't had any complaints about them. I can't tell you whether anybody's had a problem with it. But it's just not it's not the best solution in my mind, but it's not a perfect solution. There's just not a better one. How's that? But you do have to get your white indicator for the optical sensor. Other than that, it all works. Let's see. Other questions. Anybody? Hey, have a KJW M700P and was looking at body kits. Any suggestions of places that could do such things? I have no idea. Do you guys have anything?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not in my realm of expertise. I know quite a bit about airsoft in general, but that's not. If I don't know and the Airsoft Junkies guys don't know, then well.
Oh, there we go.
That's looks like an M700 rifle. Is that a gas sniper?
I think I thought the KJW one was a gas one, but I've never messed with one personally.
I mean, you could make one. Let's say you could make one out of wood. I've seen people do that for VSRs.
Oh yeah.
Anything that's a bolt action. So
there's also probably like 3D print body kit models out there. If you want to go down that route, there's a bunch of guys that have designed 3D printable bodies for different guns. I'd guess there's something like that out there as well you could look at, but other than that, I'm not really sure. Matt Tucker says black sheep nostalgia for Shelby. Yeah.
know
Yeah, for all the
this and that,
what was that?
that missing shelter world. Our owner Sam is missing shelter.
Yeah. I mean, I miss Black Sheep games for all the mess that ended up being. Like, he put on a good game.
Yeah.
Like, he put on a legitimately
Definitely.
good game. You say whatever else you want, but like, he knew how to put on a game, and I miss him. How about an HPA engine to fit a Crytek Chris Vector? Okay. It can be done. I've looked at it. It can't be done very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really possible as far as I'm concerned to do it well. And the other problem is the size of the market, and also the amount of that market that is going to want to, based on how expensive that gun is to begin with, then spend another whole bunch of money for, like, it just becomes a lot of work for a mediocre solution for a small market. Like, it's just not, it's cool. I kind of like the Chris Vectors personally, but I think they're kind of fun. They're unique. You need to CNC a mini MTW bottle opener for your beers. Oh, don't give me ideas that will waste my time. I have plenty of stuff to do. It's not a waste of time. That would be super cool. Okay, so forget CNCing it for a minute. Like, one of these companies that like does bottle openers, like some sort of like a stamped metal or something bottle opener that has like MTW, and I could see that. Let's look at that. That would be fun. So, did you guys get any of you guys got a shipment of Forged, didn't you? Oh, you got one right in front of you.
Not yet. Not on the way soon. Hopefully.
Oh, not yet. Okay. Gotcha. Sorry. I can't keep track of when all the shipments go out. Not my department. Awesome. So you guys have some of the new Forged coming in. Did you get any of the new Forged Tactical? You know?
I believe we did. Yeah, I believe we got a little bit of everything.
That's what I got sitting here in front of me.
Nice.
It's just sort of it has the same mirrored stock and grip that we use on the billet tactical, the DLG furniture. Really nice. Then we went with the quad rail setup on the front here. It gives you a bit more of a sort of military look versus a civilian look. But
yeah,
we like them. Makes for a kind of aggressive, bit more beefy look to the gun rather than super pared down and lightweight. But really like these.
We do a lot of-
all the Forged, by the way. I don't know if you can see that. Can we get it focus? Well, get this. We redid the engraving on the receiver. I don't know if you can see that on video.
I can see that.
Kinda,
Yeah.
So we're really happy with how the new receivers turned out. Guy's been slaving away in the machine shop trying to keep up with all the machining. There's been a lot going through.
that was really cool.
Deshiznit says, I really enjoy using my MTW. Thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying it. That's a movie reference that most people probably won't get. Well, actually, I can't even remember what the name of that movie was. Do you guys know that movie?
No, I don't
It sounds familiar. It's escaping from my mind right now.
Shoot. What was the name of that movie?
Maybe someone knows in the comments.
Yeah, somebody in the comments hit me up and help me out with that. Isn't it? I can't even remember. I never watched the whole thing. I just saw pieces of it at different times about this white kid that thinks he was gangster or something. I can't remember. It was. Let's see. Can we look forward to a Type 89 MTW in the future? How far in the future are we looking? So maybe you guys can pitch in your thoughts on this. We're going to go about 5 more minutes here and then wrap it up. So if you guys have any more questions, throw them up there. I'm not going to drag it on forever today, but we've kicked this around because we've had like some other thoughts about doing other platforms or whatever. And at what point is it no longer an MTW? Does that make sense?
Oh, man.
Because
Yeah.
if you get to it, you get to a Type 89 and okay, it doesn't share any of the modular. I mean, maybe the engine's the same, but it doesn't share any of the modular systems that make it the modular training weapon. So is it really an MTW anymore? Or if you go something that's not as extreme, take your pick. Any gun, we come out with a support weapon, right? And come out with an M249 or something like that. Is that an MTW? Is it?
Yeah. Like you said, if it doesn't share the parts, then I guess it couldn't be because
To me, if it's, I don't know, to me, the MTW line is more than the modular systems, but it can't be less than the modular systems. Does that make sense? There's other characteristics that it needs to have other than just working with the modular systems. In terms of the sort of the out of the box performance, the sort of build quality and durability of the platform itself. Those are all inherent parts of the MTW brand. But even if it's a really well-built, durable, out-of-the-box performing gun, if it doesn't work with any of the modular systems, to me at that point, it can't be an MTW. I don't know.
That's fair.
So,
I mean, I think the MTW platform, the AR platform, it's a wonderful item to use. It's one of my favorite guns to actually use and play. But it's it's Wolverine itself. That's Wolverine's, but maybe branching out there, doing a different platform that's not the AR style, but still has Picatinny rail system or Hemlock, or that's compatible with Wolverine. Maybe that would be beneficial. I know a lot of customers that come to us asking us for maybe an AK platform.
Yeah.
That's something it's still MTW. It's still MTW, but it's a that can be used and abused constantly and keep on fighting. That's what you just drop this thing down. You can beat it up, but it'll still work and perform like the best gun on the market.
And see, an MTW is sort of riding the hairy edge to me because an MTW, an AK is sort of riding that line because you could do a modernish version of an AK that accepts a buffer tube and stuff. And okay, now I can work with the modular systems. And so that could work. But if you get into something that's a FAMAS, right? Well, I'm sorry, a FAMAS is just
that's a little maybe a little too far.
But also to me, I would also argue though that if you did, let's say we came out with a budget platform, just take your pick, whatever, and maybe it works with some of the modules, but I don't know, we do a plastic receiver set or something, right? They do the G&G thing where you have sort of your what was G&G called? Their combat
machine.
Yeah.
Combat machine, right? Okay. That's still not an MTW though, to me. Even if it works, even if it has some of the modular elements, if it's not the same build quality and durability, so to me, it's both and. It has to both, either thing, pushing either direction would make it not an MTW. If you either lose the compatibility side or lose the build quality and durability and performance side, in either case, it stops being an MTW. It may be a good product, right? There's probably a market for a less expensive, plastic body gun that still performs really well. That's probably a viable product. but it's not an MTW at that point. Like you're buying a different thing at that point to me. Brandon says
that makes sense.
Yeah, Brandon says he's up to 3 MTWs in 1 year. Brandon, you're a monster. He said it's when it's no longer modular, it stops being an MTW.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I actually just helped a dude. What's his name? Spent a bunch of time walking him through. He's working on taking a. Brandon just threw this up there. Taking a real steel 308 receiver set and converting it to like an MTW. Like basically taking all the MTW parts and converting it, mounting it to a 308 real steel receiver set. So I spent a bunch of time today helping him brainstorm how to integrate some of the different pieces of it and make it work. Super cool project. He'll probably post it up at some point on the owners group, but it's a super super legit project. Totally, real steel 308 receiver set and has it built out and looks pretty good. He has a couple parts still to iron out, but looks really good.
Yeah.
FAMAS is a rarity these days. When's the last time you've seen one? Never. Okay, so the FAMAS, in my mind, I've got 2 issues. One, I hate the real firearm design.
Yeah, that's pretty ugly. Yeah.
It's hideous. And 2, the quality of any of the replicas that have been made have been horrific. Like, awful. So creaky and just like flexible and they're so bad. So like you start out with something that I don't like and then you make it terribly and it's just like not cool, guys.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we've been working on the P90 system. We actually finally developed a way to keep up with what Crytek was doing with them, so that you could actually have a dual stage trigger, and we were able to orient the switches in the right way so stage trigger. So now we have a little chassis that we're going to be dropping pretty soon that does all that. You just plug it in and it's set and ready to go. So
nice.
We're pretty excited about that. We had to move a lot of stuff down. You know how it is trying to do like any sort of design. You're like, I'm millimeter direction, or we need to angle it more. So, we took, I want to say it was maybe some pretty hard work trying to get this 3D print just right. But we finally got it. So, this is one of ours.
Awesome. Nice.
So,
awesome. You guys can pick those up on airsoftjunkies.com pretty soon, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
One last question, then we'll wrap this up. What's your thought about the aftermarket parts one can get for the MTW? Something you'd avoid because it comes with a lot of problems, or keen to use them yourself or use ideas parts for future versions? My general take on this, and I've talked with most of the different companies that are making aftermarket parts for the MTW. I don't have I like people having options. Totally love people having options because there's a ton of parts, other aftermarket parts that are not MTW specific out there, especially when you're talking about barrels and hop-ups and all that kind of stuff. So like some other combination of parts, for some combinations of parts, a different variation in terms of tolerances and dimensions and stuff on some of the components is going to work better than what we've chosen for our stock system. The thing you have to be careful with, and I say this for all aftermarket parts, not just MTW, but AEG as well. I think I can say within the airsoft market, there is no such thing, at least when it comes to hop-ups and barrels, as a universal upgrade. Getting a certain aftermarket part set is not guaranteed to give you better performance. It may give you better performance depending on what you combine it with. But you've got to realize that all of these parts, the reason there are so many variations is because it's almost a self-perpetuating cycle, right? Because all the hop-up rubbers are not exactly the same dimensions. And so now the people making hop-up housings try to make each person makes theirs a little different to try to accommodate for the different geometries of hop-up rubbers in different ways. Well, now the housings are different and the hop-up rubbers are different. So now the barrel makers are trying to accommodate for all these things. And it's almost this self-perpetuating cycle of more and more variations to account for the fact that there are so many variations, right? Because everything's not the same. So I'm all for having options. My guidance to people is just to realize that in my experience, most people, when they go away from stock on an MTW, are going to make it worse before they make it better. Doesn't mean that you can't make it better, right? Doesn't mean if you're willing to experiment with stuff and try different combinations of parts and do all that, that you can't come up with something better. But more often than not, whatever random combination you choose to try is not going to be better, right? If you try enough different combinations, you'll probably find something that's better, but don't expect that, hey, if I just swap these two parts, it's suddenly going to be better. Like, that's not realistic. That's not how it works. So I love there being options for people. That's great. Everybody likes to have customization options. I just sort of, try to give people a realistic expectation of how this stuff goes. There are hop-up components, both with the MTW and AEG, that work amazingly well if you combine these two together. But you take those two and you combine them with two other things, and they work terribly. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that hop-up rubber or that barrel. It's that hop-up rubber and that barrel don't like each other. They don't work well together. So that's why it gets so complicated in terms of trying to tell people what the best thing to do is. So that's my little tirade for the day.
Yeah, man, it's too many variables is the key word on there. Is just to see. You can go all day long, try all these crazy setups that everyone's like, hey, this is it, but it could not work all the time. And it may not be the magic bullet for you, but it could be.
So that's what our shop is here for. We're the ones trying to test new product. Hey, does this nozzle work well with this product right here? Does this barrel work well? Does this bucking work well?
Oh yeah.
Do some guinea pig ideas, trying to test different variables, different weapon systems. The MTW platform is best for the customer. So typically, when we do an MTW build, we already have it pretty much. If we have variation, different bucking or different hop up in there, it's tuned to our and his techs do a great job of actually going through the checklist. Is the BB going left or right, curving, hop up? So that's why our shop is here, the best product that works on the field.
Yeah, and that's the other variable is that people don't realize is the actual assembly procedures. You would be shocked, not you guys, I know you guys do this all the time, but like as the average person, you would be shocked how big a difference very small variations in how you assemble those components can make, which is why, like you said, somebody else could literally take the same pieces and put them together and it would work great. You take the exactly same pieces, you put them together, and it doesn't work for you. Like that is totally possible. Like there's so many little details in the exact process that you use to put these parts together that it's just you got to realize that it's and as long as we are with the current sort of technology level in terms of the overall hop-up concept itself, right? The general design of the barrels and the hop-ups and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It is inherent with that you're going to have that variation unless we can create some sort of a new standard, which we've messed with conceptually, but some sort of a new hop-up standard that doesn't use buckings like we think of, doesn't use hop-up housings like we think of, that makes it foolproof to put together, that, hey, there's not the variation and the tolerance stack up between parts such that if you put it together, you know, incorrectly, stuff doesn't work right. Until we get to that point, you're just going to have that. There's going to be some sort of experiential knowledge that you have to have in terms of how to put these things together to make it all really get consistently good results. So anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Sam, Brandon, it's been great having you guys on. Look forward to seeing you guys at a Third Coast event here soon. Everybody else, if you have more questions, you can always reach us on our Facebook page. If you need technical support questions, there is the sleep deprivation, the help desk on our website. There you go, help desk. I think it's www.wolverineairsoft.com/helpdesk. If not, there's a link in the drop-down menu. And we will do our best to answer all of your questions. And we're going to try to do one of these again sometime soon. It's been way too long since we were on live from the den. So try to get somebody else on, another guest on. I like doing guests. It's more fun for me than just to sit here and talk all by myself. So thanks, guys. And we will see you guys next time.
See you guys later.